What if you could build a full stack application without writing most of the code yourself? In this session, we will explore the vibe coding experience with GitHub Copilot, where you describe your idea in plain English and AI helps turn it into working code. From setting up the project structure and APIs to building the UI, fixing errors and refining the experience, you'll see how developers can move from idea to execution faster than ever before. This isn't just about autocomplete, it's about collaborating with AI to prototype, experiment, and build smarter. So let's jump in and experience what from idea to code really looks like with GitHub Copilot. But before that, check out this expense tracker made on GitHub Copilot.
All right, folks. So what you just watched took me under 30 minutes to build, and I barely typed a single line of code myself. I described what I wanted in plain English, and it was GitHub Copilot who wrote the code. And when something broke, I did not open the file or fix it line by line. I just told GitHub Copilot what went wrong, and it fixed itself. That approach, my dear friends, has a name, and it is called vibe coding. And over the next hour, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. We'll go with the full, unedited, idea to running app build, including the parts where there are chances, things may go wrong, because that's where the real lessons are, right? So I welcome you all in this vibe coding experience with GitHub Copilot. And the name of our session is From Idea to Code. Quick hello, if you're new here. My name is Rohit Tiwari. I'm a Microsoft Certified Trainer and a multi-cloud infrastructure and solution architect with 75 plus technical certifications. I'm a Google Cloud Authorized Trainer as well. I do have AWS Golden Check It. This year and last year, I've been awarded as Global Top 100 MCT Quality Award winners, not only one, but in two categories, all courses in Microsoft Data and AI courses. It's been wonderful 20 plus years now in the industry, wherein I've been, worked as a software developer, been into QA. Now I'm in like full-time training and consulting. Okay. I have trained 50,000 plus professionals globally in multiple cloud certifications programs. I kind of started with Azure, then went into AWS, GCP, and other cloud as well. But yes, I am a recognized AI and Gen AI expert in there as well. In Azure, the total tally goes around 40. I got GitHub certifications, Oracle, Databricks, cloud certifications, and GCP, AWS, I have it all. These are some of my training and consulting skills. This is a bit about me. But see, most of the days, I'm helping developers and architects getting genuinely productive with tools like the one that we're going to discuss today is GitHub Copilot. So here's the plan for the next hour. First, I'll explain what vibe coding actually is and what it isn't, of course. Then I'll give you a quick tour of the GitHub Copilot features we will use, and including context references and some of those custom instructions in there. But then comes the main event, a live, right? It's gonna take around 30 minutes, but a live build of a full stack personal expense tracker, start to finish. And we'll close with the honest lessons, what worked, what didn't, and when you should absolutely not vibe code. Okay, so if that sounds useful, do me a favor and hit the subscribe before we start. Okay, let's get into it. So now the first question is, what is vibe coding? So let's define it properly. The term vibe coding was coined by Andre Carpathy. He was one of the founding members in OpenAI, and he did that in back in February 2025. But his description was, I would say, wonderfully loose, because the idea is that you fully give it into the vibes. You lean into the AI. and you almost forget that the code even exists. So it's like, you know, the way, if it is being mentioned in here, like, you know, way of building software by describing it in plain language and letting AI write the implementation. And that's what I'm talking about. So you describe what you want. Okay. The AI writes it, you run it, and if it breaks, you describe the problem and let the AI sort it out without obsessing over every individual line. Okay. Now that's a bit of pure, I would say, playful version. But what we are going to do today is the practical, professional version of the same idea. We're going to use it to build something real quickly while keeping our judgment switches on, right? Because see, if you talk about how it is different from, let's say, the classic Copilot. Okay, so let's say if I talk about the classic Copilot in here, I have already opened a file for you all. Like, let's say if inside this file, I'm just going to type, okay, type function, right? Calculate anything. Like, see, it's giving me suggestions, right? Calculate area. Let's say if I say calculate tax. Now, this is what? This is the old way of using GitHub Copilot. Not like I'm comparing it with the vibe coding stuff, right? So this is like autocomplete where you are writing something, you are driving, and GitHub Copilot is finishing your sentences. That's not vibe coding. If I press a tab here, I'll get the full function here, right? But in vibe coding, what happens? Rather than going in here, we come here and write need a function to calculate text. And if you go with the agent mode in here, it would give you that function. That is what it's going to do in the vibe coding. Okay, because in vibe coding, unlike this, the old way of, typing and using autocomplete, in vibe coding, you are the architect describing the outcome. And Copilot here, Copilot is the developer writing the implementation for you. So primarily here, you have, moved up, I would say, a level of abstraction. Because now you're not writing syntaxes, you are managing intent, you are managing outcomes. Okay, so see, before we go any further, I want to be very straight with you because this matters a lot, right? Because see, as I told you, the classic GitHub Copilot, right? Okay, you go with autocomplete, you can just the way I just showed you in here, right? Vibe coding is more intent driven. So you're going to describe the outcome. Copilot will write the implementation like this. You build the text calculator with the brackets for India FY 2025-2026. So you are the architect. Copilot is the developer. You're not going to manage the syntax. You will manage the intent here. Okay. But as I told you, before we move any further, vibe coding is brilliant for prototypes, right? POCs, for learning, for exploring an idea pretty quickly, for internal tools and one-off utilities. So it is fantastic at getting you, uh, from a blank folder to something that runs pretty fast. Okay, but mark my words, for production systems, anything which is handling real users, real money, or sensitive data, you cannot just wipe your way to finish the line. You still have to read the code. You have to test it. You have to take ownership of it, right? And so we'll see exactly why during today's build, the app that you have seen in here, when Copilot confidently does something which I did not ask for, right? You have to keep that in the back of your mind in here as well, right? But before we jump onto anything, let me quickly walk you through with the Copilot Vibe Coding Toolkit. Okay, right? Because yes, I'm going to keep it very brisk. Okay, right? So let me give you a quick tour in here of the tools that we'll be reaching for. This is all inside your Visual Studio Code. See, we have Copilot chat, inline chat, Copilot edits, and agent mode in there here as well, right? And you might have seen this thing like in here itself. See that here, right? Okay. Now in this case, what happens now? Primarily, when we are going with this one in here, so this is what you have here is the chat mode. You open it, it gets closed here. Okay. So there's a full conversational panel, which is aware of your code. Okay. Right. You can, like, let's say if you have, any, like you can have any specific files in here. So you can ask that, like, explain what this file does, and it will do that for you. Okay, right? So it would read the file, it would give you the context which is in there. You can do that one in here. And even you can do the same thing for like in here, I can just say Control I, and it would give you that one in here as well. This is just about the GitHub Copilot chat mode in here. Another one that you're seeing in here is the inside the chat mode, you get these flavors here. Okay, agent, ask, and the plan. That is how it would be, right? Primarily, we're gonna use the agent mode, which is like it can explore your code base on its own. It can decide which files needs to change. It can run terminal commands. It can install packages, right? And this is the important part. It can read the errors that come back and it can try again. And you know what? All in one flow. So it's the closest thing to that pure idea to code experience. So in this session today as well, we're going to use this agent mode to scaffold the whole project in one shot. Okay, but to get the good result, it is always important, that we should be having some of the context there. Okay, because see, to get good results, you have to give GitHub Copilot here right context. Okay, so there are these primarily three references that I use constantly. We have hash code base, which would be pulling your entire project into context so that GitHub Copilot will understand the whole of your thing. You can even use a hash file, which would be pointing at some specific file when, let's say, you need a focused change here. And at workspace is primarily for answering questions about your project as a whole, like let's say where a function is defined and so on. Okay, right? And see, vague prompts will always give you vague code. So the right context reference is often the difference between what you can get from GitHub Copilot as a magic or what you're going to get as a nonsense, right? So, and the last piece, my favorite, I would say my single favorite trait, which is custom instructions, right? So it's more like a Copilot instructions.md file, which would actually reads it on, because Copilot will read it on every single prompt. And I'll show you. This is how it's gonna look like. You see this one in here. See, I have created this one in here, like this. Okay, so it has your text stat, your naming conventions, how you want the errors to be handled, right? And so you can set this up pretty much. In fact, how you want your things to be styled. So you set this up well, and you stop repeating yourself, and GitHub Copilot will stop drifting, right? We'll also write something like this in our project there itself. But yeah, the question is, what would be the project? Okay, right? So what we are going to do is let's reveal this to you, right? All right. So here is what we're building today: a personal expense tracker, where what you do is you simply add an expense, which could be an amount, a category, a description, and a date. And it shows that up in a list, having the newest first. So the latest expense that you would add, it would come on top. Okay. You get a running total of everything that you have spent. You will also be getting a pie chart by category, and you can delete any expenses. So it's more like a web app which would run locally, and you will have your data actually persisting there. Okay. Now, if you talk about the tech stack here, it is deliberately mainstream. We're going to use React on front end, right? Node with Express on the back end, and SQLite as the database. Okay, so nothing exotic. It's exactly the kind of thing you would reach for to validate an idea fast. Okay, so now the very first thing that we're going to do here is we are not going to start with writing the code. No, because that's what white coding is all about. So what we're going to do in here is, see, let me share my screen. Before we started, I have already created a folder open here. I am logged in into my GitHub Copilot chat account. If you really want to see how you can log into it, see, this is how generally first when you start it. I'm assuming that you are aware of how to log in here. If not, you can go through another video of mine where I have shown like how you can use GitHub Copilot there, right? Starting from scratch. Now the thing is, we're not going to write the code anywhere. Okay. Rather than writing the code, I'll write down what I want in plain language. Okay. The way I would brief the same to a junior developer. Okay. So let me do that now. Okay. So let's say if I'm coming in here, I'll create a new file. I'm going to give it a name as requirements.md. Okay. Right. And inside this, I'm going to type, see what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a personal expense tracker. What we want in our check here. So we have the React as front end. We'll have SQL Express as back end, and the SQLite as our database. Okay. What more? What would be a flow of application? So it would be like we'll be simply adding the expense. Okay, and in that it would be amount. Okay, and a category of the expense, and description, which would be optional, and the date. Okay, and what do you want? I want to list all the expense, right? And of course, I need the newest first, right? I would want to show the total expense, and I would also need a pie chart, right? By category. I should also be able to delete an expense. Okay, and I need a clean, and I would say a modern UI. Okay, I want to delete, I want to show the total expenses. Okay, now see, this is what that is actually the whole brief. If I can describe it clearly here, Copilot, this GitHub Copilot can actually build it, because you should have the clarity of thought, because clarity of thought always comes before the clarity of code. Okay, and before I let GitHub Copilot touch anything, I would also set up the rules here. Okay, remember that instructions file I showed you earlier, right? Similarly, now I'm going to create one in here as well. That's what I'm going to create in this particular case, right? Okay, the one that I had in my previous one. I'm going to use the same one in here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just copy paste in there, and then I'll explain what it is all about. But first we would create a folder that is dot GitHub. And inside that, I'm going to create a file, which would be Copilot instructions.md. Okay. And here I'm going to type in all of my project instructions. Okay, like what would be my tech stack. So I would say hash project instructions. Here my tech stack I would specify first, which is React. It's okay, even if you are not a React fan or more into Java, it's perfectly all right. Just see, you can do the same thing for any language of your choice. See, now it is suggesting me Express to SQLite. So I'll accept that anyway. I'm going to do the same thing in here. Okay. Now here I'm going to use better SQLite 3. Yes, that's what I'm going to use. Okay. Now, next, see, it knows what I'm going to do in this. See, this is the part, but that's not white coding that we're going to do in here. We will write our own stuff. Next, I'll say that, okay, use functional components, right? Functional component with React hooks. Okay. And then we would also go with Tailwind CSS for styling. Okay. We're going to use that. We will keep the backend. Let's just go with the backend. Backend RESTful. Okay. Under our path would be API and then expenses. All right. And we would say add. You see how it is recommending this. Okay. Basic error handling. Not everything. I would say basic error handling on every endpoint. Okay. See, it keeps asking me for that, but I would say prefer simple, readable code over clever code. Don't go with clever code because see, this is the difference between vibe coding that ships something useful and vibe coding that is spiraling out of control. Okay. So by writing my GitHub Copilot instructions here, I'm setting the guardrails before the card even starts moving. Okay. So now let's build. We'll fire our first prompt now. I've saved these in here. Okay. I told you that I'm going to go in the agent mode here. Okay. Right. So because see, I want Copilot to set up the whole project structure for me. Folders, dependencies, databases, and the API, all from one instruction, right? So I have the prompt ready. Let me just get that prompt in here, right? I'll just paste it and then I'll just explain you what this is all about. Okay, so I am going to write it like this. See, that's my prompt. Okay, what's the prompt here? Create a full stack expense tracker project with two folders, client, React plus White plus Tailwind, and server, Express plus Better SQLite 3. Set up the SQLite database with an expense table where it will have ID, amount, category, description, date, created at, create REST endpoints with get API expenses, post API expenses, and delete API expenses, right? Initialize package.json in both of your folders with the right dependencies, and do not write the React UI yet. Right now, I just want to scaffold the project and the backend. That's it. Okay, and see here, you'll have options to pick up your these models as well. You can go with GPT-5 here. You can go with some Claude models here. And you know what? For this video itself, for this session itself, I am gonna make it to do it all with the free GitHub Copilot account itself. Okay, so we're gonna do it all with this free one here itself. Okay, right? So this is the part, people don't show you. So I'm going to leave it all in, right? Let's watch it, like what it actually does when I'm doing this one in here. I'm gonna go with the GPT-5 in here. So let's just go with this. See, you have other options available with these ones in here, but let's just go with this one for now. If you want, you can use the Claude models as well, but let's just do it with this one. Now see, look at that. What it is doing in here. It will start creating the folders. See, it is planning. Now, so it is actually creating a plan for itself. See, here it is mentioning it has created the to-do plan. Now it is scaffolding the project folder and package.json files. Then it will implement the Express server and DB initialization. And then finally, it's going to add the client scaffolding for React plus Vite plus tailwind here. So it would do that. We just need to see it is creating the server folders. Or see, it has created this one here. It's asking me to allow this. I'll allow it. It is also making some changes. See, it has created that server folder here. You see that? So I'm going to ask it to keep it. It would keep making changes. See, I have not touched the keyboard, okay? Right? I'm only describing what it is doing in here. I'm just telling you that. And even to this GitHub Copilot as well, I just described the outcome once, and it is assembling the whole week back in here. You see, it has created server, client, everything. It's doing that one in here. Now see, it is asking me, it is saying that now all of these are ready here. Okay, see, it is saying that install and start the server, install client dependencies, okay, because the UI has not implemented yet. All right, so I can ask it to run the server. That's one way to do it, okay, or I can just go there and I can run these servers, insert into terminal. I can try that, okay, let's just say it is going with that. And see, even let's say, see, for me, I might have the dependencies installed somewhere. But for you, let's say if you're facing some issues or some errors, right? That's where the vibe coding, pretty much useful. You're not gonna read the whole error. If you face any error here, let's say, while doing this, right? You need not to do it. You see here, it has given me some error here, right? You've got all of this error in here. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do is, because we are having this error here, all right. So what we're going to do is, we're going to write in here that the server is failing to start with this error. What's the error? I am not going to read this whole thing. I will simply just copy everything. And I'm going to paste it just like this. Okay, paste it. And after that, I would write diagnose the cause and fix it. Okay. You can even ask it for any explanations, right? See, like then confirm what you changed. Let's say, of course, to fix that error, you can ask for a justification as well. Okay. Let's go next. Now you see, you watch it, reading the error, working out what went wrong. It'll see that, okay, how to patch it up, right? So it'll go with its own little loops there. It'll run, it'll break. If let's say it breaks, it'll paste it, fix it. So it's like, this is honestly the 90% of the vibe coding experience. You see, now it's going to make changes accordingly in here. See that? It's doing it. See, it has came up with the diagnosis here. It is also telling me what it has changed to fix that error. Okay, right? Now, because it is saying, it is confirming that it has, fixed that error. Okay, we can even go and test this API, right? The REST API, which is being created, because according to it, the backend is up. Okay, right? Right. So I can even ask it, because see, before I build any UI, I want to prove that the API which is being set up in here, it actually works. So I'm going to hit it directly. Now, if let's say I am not sure, right? If let's say I'm not sure how to get that running in here. See, first you can try that if it is running in this particular case. Okay. What you can do is, I'll show you. I can directly go with, because see, it has created all of our this schema in here, right? You see here, it has created that client and server, right? And here on the server, it has that everything in this case. Okay. Now it is saying that would you like me to run the install for you now and add an automatic pre-install check notices in this. You can add instructions. You can add a short partial check. So it is giving you all these suggestions in here. Okay. So it is asking you to go ahead with this one to run this fix locally, or you can directly run that npm script, right? So if you want to run that locally here, okay, we are already in the server, so now it's going to fix that. See, okay, so there is still an error into that as well. Fine, no issues. Now we will check. Okay, because see, we need to first check whether the backend is up or not. So if you feel that there are errors happening all around the corner, okay, you can tell it, I need the backend server up. Okay, up and running. So it will check and it will run that for you. And whatever is, rather than you doing it manually, you can ask it to do it. It will do that for you. bringing the server up locally, clean up, install, verify. It's doing that. You can check all of this eventually. See, it has even given me the curl commands in here. You can try these curl commands to check this one in here as well. See, this is to list the expense. This is to create the expense, and it is giving you in here. Like you can insert these into the terminals and you can start, like you can try running these in here as well. So it would actually give you whether it is working in there as well or not. You see in here. And it is telling you what it has changed in this case as well. Okay. Right now it is doing that. It's bringing the server up locally. Because it is asking you your choices in here. And see, there is also one possibility. If you feel that, okay, no, this is not how I wanted to go ahead with, and if you feel that, okay, things are not going the way I wanted, you can, though like it's not recommended, but if you want, let's say, if you say that, okay, I'll go with this model in here. Okay, you can actually change the model because you have that facility here. And then you can ask it, mid-flight, okay, do what you have written in here to this. Same thing. Now you see the match. Now it will first evaluate what you have in here. And then accordingly, it will give you that. You see here, now it is asking you to fire the commands. It will make those changes. It will do that for you. It will verify what are the errors happening here, where there are issues, what are the problems. It will check all that for you. You see, it is automatically correcting the error messages. So depending upon model, sometimes the approach would change as well. You see this time. So it is automatically firing everything inside its own screen itself. And it is fixing those things in here. And now it's going to make changes in the models. It is making changes in the files. Because I asked it that, okay, I want my server up and running. And that is what it is going to do to you in here. You could have asked it to give you the curl commands. You could have tried it locally, but that's fine. You can ask the same thing to do it in here. It will check everything if there are any issues. So it'll ask, see, it'll ask you that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Now see, it will automatically test by firing those curl commands. Okay. And then it will check that by itself. You see, get endpoint is working. Now it is checking for the post to create an expense. You see here, it's checking that. Now it is checking the delete one. Now it is checking listing all the expenses. Because once we are sure that the backend server is up and running, you see here, it is saying that the backend server is up and running. And that is what we wanted. Because then only we can go with creating the front end, because that's what it is going to be in here. Our next thing, which is building the user interface, because this is how we're going to go ahead with. See here, I told you earlier that this is how we're going to go. So we have created the project structure, database, and we have checked the REST APIs as well. All the curl command, propose, get, for delete, create, we have checked it. Now we're going to create the UI. So for this, what we are going to do is, let me get you there. Now for this, what we are going to do in here is we would be actually putting in, I would, to build the user interface, because that is where, we are going to create this front end. Okay. So I have that prompt ready. I'm going to put this prompt here, right? Build the React UI in the client folder. I want a form at the top with amount, a category dropdown, food, transport, shopping, bills, and others. These are the categories. Description and date. Okay. I need a list of expenses with delete button on each row. A running total at the bottom. I will connect it to the backend. Use Tailwind, keep it clean, minimal, and a card-based layout with soft shadows and rounded corners. See how specific I am. Okay. And it should give us our app in the browser. Let's just see. See, it is saying that it's going to do that. It is building the React UI from form, expense list, delete buttons. We had our backend running. Okay. Now it's creating the front end. Remember, we would need that pie chart as well. Okay. So right now it's just going to give us those listings in there. So it is asking me to allow that, which I have allowed it. Have I typed a single line of code so far? No. It's all happening all by itself, and GitHub Copilot is doing it for me. If there are errors, you see here, there are errors. It will resolve it by itself. You just watch how it's doing in there. You see what it is reporting to us. It is saying that it is all completed. See here, React UI complete. Okay, full featured expense tracker, amount input, category dropdown, description, date picker, and then expense list with category badge, amount in bold, description, date, delete button, running total at the bottom. It is showing all in here. And it is saying that your client is running here, and we have our backend running at this particular case. Both connected and ready to use, right? We can open the browser, we can test the UI, we can add more features as well, but it says that the app is fully functional. Can we try that? Let's just see if I just copy this. I don't think it's going to allow me to copy that around here. Let's just try typing this one in here. Localhost, what's the number? 3000. Let's just try. See, it's here. We got categories. We got a date here, description. Fine. It's working. Okay. Right. So we have this one in here. All right. We have our app in browser. It is working. I can add an expense. Let's just try adding an expense. Let's say $100 for, let's say, some bills. And we did that on, let's say, May 15th, right? Let's say phone bill. Okay. Add. You see here, it is added. Delete button is here. Description is here. Date is here. Category is here. And total expense also showing. So good, right? So because see, I'm not saying that it is super beautiful yet. Okay. I'm just deliberately showing you the first draft, because this is what vibe coding really looks like. You get something functional so fast, and then you refine it, and that too Wait, I believe I'm not sharing my screen. Yeah, see, this is what it is. So I have just added this $100 in here. Let's say if I show you quickly, $200 for, let's say, transport. I just add this one more here, let's say May 16th. Let's say for gas, we did that. And add expense, you see here. Right? So this is what I was talking about, because this is what white coding really looks like. You got something functional very fast, and then we are going to refine it through our conversations again. Okay, right? So that's how it is. Now, see, this is what we're getting right now as a list. Now, we're going to make it more insightful. How we are going to do that? I told you earlier that we're going to add that pie chart as well. So for that also, I have a prompt ready. I will just add that prompt here. You see, add a pie chart that shows total spending grouped by category. Use recharts, place it next to the expense list on the desktop and below the list on mobile. It must update live whenever an expense is added or deleted. Okay, and that's what we're going to ask it to do. Right? So what we're doing here is it is going to make some changes there in that app. Now, since it is already running, we're going to check it like there itself. We need a pie chart. Okay. All in here. Going good? Right? Pie chart is live. How would you check that? Let's just go to our app again. Let's just do a quick refresh. See, it has added a pie chart here. And the total is coming in like this. Even if I add one more, let's say if I add, let's say $300 for, let's say food, okay? And we did that, let's say this last weekend, let's say restaurant bill, add expense. You see the pie chart is moving here as well. Right? So that is what we wanted. Okay. But that's not it. We actually, chart is updating. Even, you can, let's say if I delete this one, $100. See, immediately changes are happening. The chart has changed, the expenses has changed, everything, total has changed, right? So basically, see, I can say that, okay, this is a good moment for what I call more like a wipe check. Okay, right? So here I can stop and I can ask myself 3 honest questions. Does it work? Yes. Does it look good enough to be proud of? I would say not quite. And what's missing? It needs polish. Okay, and almost certainly needs some validation. Okay, right now I bet I could add, submit a completely empty form. Okay, so that's exactly what we are going to fill next. Okay, we will polish it, we will harden it, and then we are going to test it, because see, we need to make it look like something we'd actually ship. Okay, right? So I'll describe the field I want, and I will let GitHub Copilot handle the requirement. Okay, so let me take you back there. And now I'm going to put in my requirement into it. I would say the UI works but feels plain. Improve the visual design, add a subtle gradient background, better typography and spacing, a small color-coded dot next to each category, and a smooth fed-in animation when a new expense is added. And clean, not flashy. Okay, let's just see how it's coming up with that. Because see, that's the real difference. Same functionality, but we want it to have in a better look, because looks is what we are considering in here. And it's not, you need not earlier, you need not to go and make changes in the CSS, an hour of fiddling within the CSS. No, now it's not. Now it's just one sentence describing your feeling, how you wanted it. Okay. And it will do that for you. See, now it's going in. It is making changes. And it has done making changes. I'm going to keep it, everything. And now I would go back to my application. Here I would do a quick refresh. And you would see now it's all changed. This has changed. The way it is defined, you see now it's more bold, wide. Now there are these colorful dots. Okay. And now even this also a bit better in here. Okay. So it is all about making those changes. It looks good. It looks working. Okay. But what if we feel that, okay, there could be errors. Okay. But you don't know what these errors are. But you have some doubts. Okay. That, what if I am submitting an empty form? What if the amount is zero or negative, negative, right? So you don't need to go and test it by yourself. You just tell GitHub Copilot, review the code for bugs and edge cases I might have missed. What happens if I submit an empty form? Amount is zero or negative. What if the date is empty? Add sensible validations on both the front end and the back end, and fix anything risky that you find in here. Okay, right? You go with this one. You see from where we started. We have gone from an empty folder of working here. Okay. And now we have a full flushed working validated. And after this validations and these tests in there, it is a full stack app, very well tested and working. And how did we completed it? Just by having a conversation with GitHub Copilot. That's it. Nothing much it is happening in here, you would say. You see this one in here. It is just adding those front end and back end input validations. Just making those changes. And now it won't allow you to do that. See, we can check what it has all done in here. Right? All these test cases now covered. Empty form, amount is required error. Zero amount, it would be the message. Negative amount, future date, empty date, invalid category, white space only description, very large amount, malformed JSON. So all these it has covered in here. So if I go back to my application now, and if I do a quick refresh here, you would see this. And if I'll try to add an expense, let's say right now you see that there is nothing, it might have reset that, it's fine. Okay, but if I try to add an expense, you see this. Please fill out this field. If I'm filling out this field in here, let's say $400, okay, and I'm adding that to the food. And if I'm trying to add, see, future dates are not allowed anywhere. Okay, 16. Add expense. See, it has added that. Perfectly fine. More, 200. Let's say for shopping, we did that, let's say somewhere for, let's say, New Year Eve. Add an expense, it is there. You see that? Right? So it's all working fine. And you can delete it, any one of these. See, if I'm deleting this, it works in here. So adding expenses, categorizing those, live pie chart, running total, deleting, all working and reasonably polished. And all this has happened what? From idea to running code. And how much time it took? About half an hour. And that is the real vibe coding experience I have been talking about. And that is what like I have this one for you folks in here as well. This is what we did. Okay, three-step process. This was our build flow. Now talking about what we have learned in here. See, let's be reflective about what we just did because the technique matters more than the act. So here is what really worked well for us. Number one, setting up the custom instructions file before writing any code. That is constraint first, right? Okay. You have to keep GitHub Copilot on your stack and your conventions the entire time. All right. Okay. Always go with that one in here, right? Because see, error as input, pasting errors straight back instead of debugging by hand. No need to do it. Run, break, paste, fix. That's it. That's how you would do it. Okay. You have to describe the intent, not implementation. I always said in here what I wanted. You see, in this case as well, I simply just told it what I want. Okay. Right. So, not how to write it. That's the whole mindset shift here in the white coding. Okay. That is how it goes all well with that. And finally, if we look at this one in here, right, the review mode. Okay. Right. So what's the wrong with this code? What edge cases I'm missing? So you are using the AI against itself. You did not create it, right? AI created it. So that's how it is. Okay. Right. So you can always, talk about even I can talk about what exactly needs to be worked out in here as well. See, there was a time when things were not going good. So what I did at that time, initially, I deliberately did that. Initially, you see, we are facing errors and it was not going accordingly because I was using some other model. But then I switched to a more efficient model. So you can do that. Mid-flight, not recommended, but initially you can do that. Okay. You can always do that all up in here. That would make you all go with this one, with this intro. Okay. So that would be a beneficial choice in that particular case. So because of that only, we have this particular options in here. Okay. So you have to look for the right tool for the job, which is like agent, right? And what needed a human specifically. Okay. See, GitHub Copilot is an extraordinarily fast junior developer who is making confident mistakes. So your job is not to type, it is to review, to catch those mistakes, and to keep the whole thing pointed in the right direction. Okay. You also need to look for, see, if you take nothing else from this video, right? You can take these four prompt patterns. Constraint first, error as input, compare and choose, and review mode. Always make sure that you are going with this thing in here. And remember what not to whiteboard, very important. Because this you can consider as the most important slide of the full video. When you should not whiteboard. Authentication flows, authorization flows, payment handling, anything touching personal or sensitive user data, anything going to production without a thorough line by line review by someone who understands it. Okay, because see, vibe coding will get you the working prototype astonishingly fast. But taking that prototype to production safely, that's still your job. And as an engineer, uh, that's what your responsibility would be. Okay, you have to remain accountable for it because the AI writes the code. You are still accountable for it. So you have to hold both of those truths at once. And believe me, you'll get enormous value out of this. Okay, right. So you can see that, like that's where we are closing in here. We started with nothing. Okay, see, I'll show you this one in here again. I'll share this one. We started with nothing, okay, but an idea written in plain English. And we finished with what we have in here is, you see, this one. What we have in here is a finished, working, validated, tested, full stack web application. Okay. And almost every line of it came from a conversation, not from me typing. Right? This actually is the promise of white coding. And that's the reality of it, the good and the outrageous. Okay. I'll put everything in description for you, right? I'll also give you the complete code as well. And you can try this. I'll put all these prompts also in the, like, if you want, I can put that all in the descriptions, right? And that's how you can go ahead with this one.
And that's the vibe coding experience with GitHub Copilot. We started with just an idea written in plain English and turned it into a working, validated, full stack application all through conversations with AI. The biggest takeaway? AI can dramatically speed up development, but your judgment, direction, and decision making still matters the most. If you found this session useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hands on AI and cloud learning content.